Microsoft just asked 7% of their US labor force to retire early. And I use the term asked loosely, and we'll cover that here a little bit in today's video. Basically, they have 125,000 US-based employees, and Microsoft just offered this voluntary retirement package to 7% of their staff. Over 8,700 employees were given this offer to retire early. But why are they doing this? And who is being, quote, voluntarily retired? At the end of the day, this is not uncommon. We are seeing this over and over and over again, and subscribers to the channel would not be surprised at a move like this at all. By the way, guys, I feel like it's really important to kind of understand what's happening in the labor market. Whether you're an employee or a small business owner or a college graduate, this impacts the way that you remain relevant, respected, and financially free in an AI world. We've covered many companies that are going through mass firing thousands and tens of thousands of staff members in order to free up capital for AI investment. It is becoming the North Star, the gold star. The key to operating in this new world is implementing AI. And love it or hate it, it is happening. It is important. It is a revolutionary new technology. Here's just a few companies. Oracle just laid off 30,000 employees to free up capital for AI. Amazon laid off 30,000 white-collar corporate workers. Meta just announced a reduction in 20% of their staff. And I just got back from a conference in DC for Meta, and I'll tell you what, they were talking about AI all the time. AI was the talk. There were 150 business leaders there. Every single business leader I talked to was talking about AI and how they're going to be using it in their business and what's working and what's not working. Every single one. I mean, this isn't new. Every time you sit down and you talk to another business owner, they're talking about AI. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And by the way, just last year, I mean, this isn't the first rodeo Microsoft's had. Last year, Microsoft laid off 15,000 people during the summer. And listen, there's been a massive pushback from society against data centers and AI. People do not like watching their friends and their family and their colleagues get laid off for robots. They don't like it. And a lot of companies have taken the hit. I mean, what's interesting is in the past, we've seen companies that'll announce these major layoffs and their stock spikes. The investors like it. But we've gone to this point now where human beings don't like it. The regular people, the guys like you and me are like, gosh, that just feels kind of gross. You're going to put a person on the breadline in order to be innovative and be efficient. It doesn't feel right. And by the way, I understand it. Humans are messy. We're complicated. We get into relationships we shouldn't. You can ask the Coldplay guys about that. People, we're messy, right? The promise with AI is you get to clean up all that mess. It's predictable, it's replicable, it's scalable. And for good or for bad, that is happening. But what's interesting about this move from Microsoft is it's pretty innovative, because Microsoft has not offered a voluntary retirement buyout in its 51-year history. This is the first time they've offered it. And this move allows Microsoft to reduce their expenses and free up capital to invest in more AI build out. And by the way, guys, human beings typically are going to make up about 60% of your expenses in your profit and loss statement. Human beings are expensive, we're messy, we're complicated, as I said before. So in any event, this move, it makes investors happy. Investors are like, okay, cool. Microsoft is thinking AI first. They're freeing up capital. They're removing bloat and gloat and expenses. But at the same time, Microsoft is able to avoid negative headlines related to the mass firings. In a way, it kind of reminds me, not to get political here, but it reminds me kind of what the Trump administration has done when it comes to clearing out immigrants from the United States. And whether you like it or not, I would say it's probably the number one reason why President Trump got elected was to clean out illegal immigration. And I don't want to get into all the politics of illegal immigration and undocumented workers, but what the Trump administration said was, people don't like seeing ICE moving around and removing people. There's a lot of negative videos that are going around. You've probably seen them or heard of them if you're awake, right? But what you don't see is these voluntary removal packages where you say, hey, if we remove you, you're never coming back. But if you voluntarily remove yourself, we'll pay you some amount. I don't even know how much they're paying them, $20,000, $2,000, something like that. I don't remember the exact number. But they're saying, hey, if you voluntarily go through our app and self-deport, we'll make it as easy and you'll be first in line to come back. And I think that's a pretty smart move in kind of like what Microsoft's doing here and saying, hey, like, we're not firing you, but if you don't get out now, you might not get another chance. And I bet you there's a lot of Microsoft employees who are thinking like that right now. They're seeing mass layoffs. They're seeing the writing on the wall. They're seeing big corporations laying off tens and thousands of people. And I've given you examples here. And they're saying, maybe I should just take the voluntary buyout right now and just move on with my life. But hold that thought. We're going to talk here a little bit more about who is being let go, because I think this is important. Are you on the chopping block? Are you going to be able to remain relevant, respected, and financially free? Let's talk about it, okay? So what they're doing here is interesting. They're not laying off the entry-level employees or even the middle managers. They're laying off older, senior, expensive, tenured style employees. Okay, because again, we've seen a lot of companies have frozen hiring. I mean, we just talked about this a few days ago in a video. I'll post a link to it here. Jerome Powell, when talking about the March labor force, said, we've seen, quote, zero net job creation in the private sector. Companies aren't hiring new employees. College graduate employment is down, although I did read an article that there's some changes there, so I'll probably be covering that in an upcoming video. And then we've seen like companies saying like, well, we're kind of like flatten the organizational structure of our company and we're gonna lay off middle management. But now we're seeing it kind of come for people that are higher up the ladder. And I think this, is important to recognize that every person at every level of every organization is impacted by what's happening with AI and these types of restructuring. Anyway, they have a very innovative way of deciding who's going to be eligible for this voluntary retirement. And basically what they do is they take employees whose combined years of employment and age combined total 70 years or higher. These are the guys that can qualify for the buyout, guys and girls. So let's say, for example, you're 50 years old and you've been with the company for 20 years, that equals 70. You're eligible. You're 40 years old and you've been with the company for 30 years. Since you're 10 years old, you're probably not a great example. Let's say you're 60 years old and you've been with the company for 10 years, likely eligible for voluntary retirement. And again, there is going to be a lot of pressure put on you because they want to clear these numbers. And again, if let's say only 7,000 people take this voluntary retirement, what do you think is going to happen to the remaining 1,700? There's going to be a lot of pressure on these guys to get out because they got to free up money, they got to free up capital for AI investment. They must do it. There's too much money. These companies, guys, it's shocking. They're spending so much money on AI, tens of billions, in some cases hundreds of billions of dollars on AI, infrastructure, new tech, engineering. It's really crazy. But here's the deal, guys. This isn't necessarily just about layoffs or voluntary retirement. It's a fundamental change in the way that business is run. It's AI empowering humans to get jobs done faster. The expectation here is there will be less people in an organization, but with the AI tools that you have, you'll still be able to get the job done. One person like you combining yourself with these AI tools is going to be able to get the same work done that 10 people could before. And I got to say, I think that there is a lot of validity to this idea. At first, and at least for me, when I first started using AI, and I think what a lot of these companies are seeing is that at first it's clunky, it's messy, the results are not as easy to replicate. But as time goes on, there's a couple things that are going to happen. In addition to that, AI automations turn people off. They give less personalization. They frustrate customers. They frustrate teams. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. How many times have you gotten like this crummy AI-driven LinkedIn email. It does not feel good. Or, I called, my car is in the shop right now. My brand new car is in the shop. Just bought a car last month, less than 1,000 miles, it's in the shop. And anyway, when I call the service shop, the first thing I get is a robot saying, "Hi, I'm your AI assistant. How can I help you?" Right? The first thing I do is say, "Speak to a human." We just don't like it. We'd rather speak to a human. But a couple things are going to happen as time goes on. First, the execution and the quality of AI is going to get a lot better. Companies, business owners who test it and iterate are going to figure it out. They're going to figure out how, not just how to use AI, but where to use AI. Because using AI in the wrong places is not a good move. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on that today, but I just gave you one example. When you're speaking to a robot on the phone, humans don't like that, right? How to do it and where to do it. That's important. That's important to determine. I kind of talked about this in yesterday's video. Also, there's important work and there's impactful work. The guys that are using AI to replace the impactful work, it's not going to work. You got to use the AI to replace the important but time-consuming, busy type of work, like developing campaigns, creating tasks in your CRM, lead scoring, reviewing large data sets and coming up with conclusions, putting together proposals. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's time consuming, but it's important. You have to get it done. This is the place where AI really shines. But there's impactful stuff like going to conferences and meeting people and shaking hands and golfing with the CEO and getting on phone calls and connecting and creating engaging content on social media. Like, this is the type of stuff that's more impactful. I see a lot of people making the mistake of trying to replace impactful work with AI, and I don't think that is the way you want to go about it. But so anyway, we've got that's the first step here, is companies that are testing it, trying it, improving it are going to people are going to figure it out. And the second thing is that customers are going to get more used to it. They're going to be more open to it. Do you remember when QR codes first came out? QR codes came out in like the early 2000s. Nobody wanted to use QR codes, but now you got QR codes for everything. I just got back from this trip to DC. QR codes were the boarding pass. You go to a restaurant, QR codes get you the menu. Like, COVID kind of made QR codes ubiquitous. Everybody uses them now. So we're not that far away from that type of change. So anyway, very interesting. But the question here is, what does that mean for you? Why should you care? Well, this is a very crucial time, guys. We're in the middle, we're almost halfway through 2026. This is a very crucial time in your career and in your business to adapt, because the guys that figure out how to use this stuff are gonna be like superhuman in what they're capable of doing. I'm already seeing it and tasting it. I probably save 10, 15 hours a week using AI. And AI also has the ability to elevate something. So something really simple like a business proposal can be elevated 10x with interactive landing pages and customization. You have the opportunity to really delight in some of the things that used to take a lot of time, now you can do very quickly. Now's the time to adapt, I think, is the bottom line. And if you're watching this channel, you're probably one of those guys who is adapting, who is learning, who is executing. And there are, at least in my way, the way that I look at things, at least four like really crucial things. The first, to be successful in this time, obviously learn new skills, test the new stuff, keep innovating, adapt AI into your workflows. Be public about it. Don't just sit and be quiet about what you're doing. Be public about it. When you have an aha moment, share that stuff on LinkedIn, share it on social, in your newsletter. Really important. You want people to know that you are on the cutting edge. You're not just hiding in a corner. As a Christian, they say, hey, we don't want to hide our light under a bushel. No, we want to let it shine. Same thing with AI, guys. If you're having success, share that stuff. And then the other big thing here, guys, is relationships. The relationships you have matter more than you would know, And we talked about the impactful work. The relationships you have are going to be very high impact, very high leverage. Don't let those go. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, like, subscribe, you know what to do. And you will love yesterday's video where I go into way more detail insane detail. This might be my most important video I've ever posted on how sales is being replaced by AI. Where to do it, where not to do it, and how to really future-proof yourself. Regardless of who you are, you're in sales. Whether you're trying to pick up a chick at the bar, or whether you're trying to land a new client, or whether you want to get a job, sales matters. Everyone is in sales. And AI can either completely replace you, make you obsolete, or it can turn you superhuman, and we're going to talk about that in yesterday's video. All right, boys, I'll see you later. Make it great. Peace.